We have now arrived at the point in the course where we learn to describe motion. This subject, where we learn to describe motion, is called kinematics. When we study kinematics, we describe motion without actually explaining why objects move as they do. Later in the course, we will put our understanding of kinematics and our understanding of forces together and begin to explain why objects move as they do. But for now, we are learning only how to describe motion. As a first exercise in describing motion, let's look at what is going on in this figure here. You can see that I have an x-axis in units of meters. So I have indicated position at 1 meter increments, 0 meters, 1 meters, 2 meters, and so forth. And we also have this person here walking along the x-axis, and I have indicated the position of that person at 1 second intervals. So we have where the person is at 0 seconds, 1 seconds, 2 seconds, and so forth. This is probably someone jogging rather than walking. Anyways, what I'd like you to try to do is describe the motion of this person. However, I'd like you to try to describe the motion of this person, but the only physics terms you can use are time and position. So we want to describe what's going on in this figure, but we want to do so using no physics terms other than time and position. So here's how we can do that. If I look at the first 3 seconds of motion, I can say that the position of the person changes by 2 meters in every 1 second interval. Okay, so in the first 3 seconds of motion, the person's position changes 2 meters every 1 second. Okay. In the last 3 seconds of motion, from 3 seconds to 6 seconds, the person's position changes 3 meters in every 1 second interval. In the first 3 seconds of motion, the person's position changes 2 meters every second. In the last 3 seconds of motion, the person's position changes 3 meters every second. Could we say that in the first 3 seconds of motion, the person's position changes at a rate of 2 meters per second, and in the last 3 seconds of motion, the person's position changes 3 meters every second? Okay, so we can describe the motion of the person by saying that the position is changing at a particular rate. In the first 3 seconds of motion, the position changes at a rate of 2 meters per second. In the last 3 seconds of motion, the position changes at a rate of 3 meters per second. Let's give that rate a name. Let's call that rate the velocity. So we are introducing the term velocity now. We define the velocity to be the rate at which the position of an object changes. symbol we will use for velocity is v. The velocity is the rate at which an object's position changes. So in this example here, we could say that the velocity of the person during the first 3 seconds of motion is 2 meters per second. And the velocity of the person in the last 3 seconds of motion is 3 meters per second. In the next video, I'm going to show you a different way of thinking about the velocity.